Panther Man. Let's get you back where you belong. At least this morning he hopped down because he wanted to use the bathroom before he ate versus just, you know, going where he's not supposed to. The good boy. I get to drive Ruby today and she's all sparkly. I'm excited. Don saw forecast rain in the forecast for Friday and he's like, do we have to drive her on Friday? I'll just take Jules again. I am not getting my car dirty. Not that dirty anyway. Wow. He's mostly still using O&R on the paint after he's done washing to get that extra sparkle. It just does such a nice job and it's not an expensive product. Wow. He backs her up just right for me. Hi. I called. He came out of the garage. He's a good boy. And my other buddies are, of course, over here. I loved on them. Morris is doing so good in the morning now. He mews at me and everything. He's just doing really good. Hey, Panther. Hi. You all excited to see me? Let me get my shoes slid on. Hi. Hello. Such a sweet boy. Here you are. Hi. Hello. Good boy. Well, you ate all your chicken. That's a good girl. Just wanted to show you guys that our little princess is doing good. Good girl. Yep. Hi, honey. Good girl. Good girl. Alright, I'll take your empty bowl out. You did good. You did good. Tux gave me the big meow meow as I came past. Love that cat. Good morning, Ruby. I had to cut through the neighborhood this morning to avoid all of the dirt and rocks that have been getting dumped on the corner down there by the bridge. I mean, I get there's nothing they can do about it. It's all that stuff's coming out on all of the dump truck tires going in and out down there. Nothing, you know, whatever it is they're doing. I just hope they're done with it soon. If I can just remember to come through the neighborhood for a few days. When they redid the bridge down there, we came through the neighborhood every single time for like 18 months. So I'm well familiar with coming this route. It's not really a problem. It's probably slightly longer, but not enough to matter. Johnny and I have made it all the way to Main Street and we're not feeling any heat coming out of Ruby. And we have it up on high now and she's acting like she's a... Well, there, finally she put the fans up because I've got it on... When you're after 81, it goes to high. I mean, we've been in the car, what, 5 to 7 minutes now, and we had like no heat and no fan motor. This is not an ice car where you have to wait for the engine block to warm up. This is an electric heater, make us warm. I guess Don didn't preheat her this morning, and normally, often, not all the time, but often he does that for us. And we really noticed it was cold in the car this morning. So hopefully she's gonna warm up now. I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna try to reboot after we get out on the straight highway because I need some heat. I don't have on a jacket and I'm cold. Well, I rebooted, I turned on recirculate, I cut off the air conditioner, I tried increasing the fan speed. The air coming out of the vents is just not warm. So I don't know what's going on with Ruby this morning. I just know we're cold. Colder than we want to be. We have our seat heaters on, of course, but in going through all the gyrations of trying various fan speeds, and now I've got, you know, humidity that I need to clear off the glass, but she just won't put out any hot air. Not good. I didn't know those electric those heaters could have problems, really, but maybe they can. I let Dawn know. I'm cold. Temperature increased by 3 degrees Fahrenheit. Not that I think that's going to help any. All it did was turn on the heat in the back. I'll have to think on it some more, but I think it's possible Ruby doesn't think it's cold inside and therefore isn't turning the heater on, because on auto she's running the air conditioner, which I understand can be for humidity and can run even when the heater runs, but it's a little odd. It's like when I bumped it up to 81, she didn't automatically turn on the front fans. I had to manually kick them up high. So maybe she doesn't, maybe the heater's fine, but she doesn't think it's cold. I told Dawn to go into Tesla for me and see what it says the internal cabin temperature is. I've rebooted and everything, so whatever Tesla says should be what the car really thinks. And the only difference last night was, I don't know if I said it or not to you guys or to Dawn, but Ruby wasn't plugged in last night. She had plenty of range this morning, 218 miles, but when I moved her from the parking pad back into the garage, I just didn't remember to plug her back in. Both cars were basically charged up, so it's, you know, wasn't a problem. She started out about 10 miles down from a normal morning. Maybe she was just cold soaked. Dawn moved her out and less than 50 kilowatt regen was illuminated. Again, not a super big deal. Well, Tesla says it's 54 inside and 34 outside, and I totally believe that, because the garage is, you know, roughly 50 degrees overnight, and Johnny and I are actually heating the car a little bit being inside of it, and I did turn off recirculation, so we're not bringing in any more cold air from outside, but the only heat we are feeling, to be clear, is coming from the seat heaters. Oh yeah, you just go right there. That was brilliant. It could just start working and that would be okay with me, and we'll just chalk it up to being a fluke. I can live with one cold drive and just go back to normal. That would be fine with me, Ruby. When I stop at St. Monica's, I'll be getting my spare jacket out of the trunk, because I only have on one layer and I am not warm. I need my jacket. The one that I took off to come out and get in the car, the one I had on when I fed the cats, yeah, that jacket, that would be really nice if I had that on right now. I just don't like to drive with the restriction of the jacket. Dang it. Our ETA is 7:28, so we're not super early, but we're not late. Of course, we usually lose 2 more minutes across town, so it'll be 7:30, but we can work with that. I am so tired of people being on their phones at stoplights and not paying enough attention to move when they need to move. All cars need the chime, like Ruby does, to remind the driver that the light has turned green. It's not perfect, but 98% of the time, it's very helpful. You know, these short left turn arrows, and the lead car screws you so you can't get through the intersection, or like back there just now, the car going straight wasn't paying attention and my turn signal's on and I'm waiting and waiting and the person isn't moving, and people. Like I said, I really didn't want to have to get out of the car. It's cold over here, but to get my jacket, I'll get out, because there's no driving back home without my jacket. There's just not. I think there's some heat from the rear heater. You know, the 6-seater X has front vents and back vents, and I've got it up high so I can really hear it. It's the same heater, right? I mean, I don't think there's 2 electric heaters. I'm sure there's one. I am not an HVAC expert. That would be Dawn's field. But I think I kind of smelt it and felt it when I opened up the back. So some of that would trickle. You know, I have the vent blowing out the front, so maybe if I just left the back on and I turn the front off, a little bit of that heat will permeate to the front of the car, maybe. Yeah, you can't turn the front all the way off, but you can turn the fan down the one, because the big power button, it turns everything off. So now the back is on high and the front is on low. Well, the vent behind the console, there's no there's no nothing coming out of there. So I think it's the one at the very back. Let me go feel where that vent is. Oh my God, that's warm air. Oh yes, there's warm air coming out there. Oh, that feels so good on my hand. I looked in the Tesla app and Ruby has warmed up to a whopping 59 with the third row heater pumping out some heat. Of course, it's probably 80 back in the third row, but up here where I am, still not so warm, but a little warmer, a little warmer. If I had my jacket on and a pair of knit gloves, I would have been totally okay. Dawn says I can swap out for Jules when I get home if I want, but you know what? I'm not going to do that for two reasons. One, the solar gain will warm up the inside of the car plenty fine once the sun comes up a little bit more. I don't, you know, go around running the heat a lot during the day anyway. And, you know, two, I just like driving Ruby, so probably not going to desert my girl even though she's cold. I don't remember if I said or not, but apparently the car does have two heaters, one for the front and one for the rear. So that's possibly why the rear is putting out heat and the front is not. Dawn said that heater is not, I guess PTC, I don't know what that stands for, but that heater is not prohibitively expensive. So if it's failed, we'll make a service appointment. Couldn't have waited another 2 months though. until it was warmer out, and I wouldn't care until fall. Well, by the time I got home, Ruby has warmed up the interior to 65. Still doesn't feel super warm in the front, but it is warmer in the car. And as soon as the sun starts coming through a little later, I'm sure it'll be plenty warm in the car. We're gonna put Ruby in service mode. I told Dawn to come out. Not sure I want to open my door and let any of my precious heat out, so hurry up and get inside. Service.
I think it's you go to the software. The big screen.
It ought to
hold the Tesla thing.
I thought there was a new service mode button here. Maybe we don't have it on Ruby, but they have it on Jules. But where do you think I'm supposed to go?
I think it's this, and you just hold this down.
Okay.
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 And type in
service.
Service. And it warns you.
That's nice.
And it says service mode over there.
It does. And the VIN up and, you know, super huge.
And let's see.
Service alerts 3.
Okay.
Oh, it's giving an alert about the heater.
Let's see.
Let's see what it says.
This is the first one.
PTC fault, whatever that means.
Yeah, that means probably $2,500 is what that means.
Cabin climate control requires service. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, well, obviously.
That doesn't seem related to the heater, though.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Let's see, what's this one? Compressor, no feedback.
Yeah, pedal monitoring. Well, it said on the other screen there was like a speed limiting alert or something. Well, we don't need there to be two problems, but sure enough, if there's a problem, then we need, there's PTC something. Yeah. Same thing down here. So I did a little research. Okay, so the PTC heater, there's one for the front and one for the back. I don't know if there's actually two fuses. Nobody talked about that aspect. The DC to DC converter has a fuse in it for the compressor, air conditioning compressor, and it has a fuse in it for the heating. And what if the PTC goes bad, it often blows the fuse. And generally speaking, Tesla, the service centers, does not replace the fuse. They replace the DC to DC converter, and it's about $1,000 for that. And some service centers get permission to open it up because, you know, it's sealed, watertight, and all that kind of stuff. To go in and replace the fuse. It's hard to say, but basically between the actual part for the PTC heater part itself, the DC to DC converter, plus the labor. Look, this just put together from doing research. You know, I'm not quoting, but you're talking about $2,500 type. No, I'm sorry, Donnie.
Right. Well, the thing is, they get to the DC to DC converter in a Model X. It's quite a challenge. They say replacing the PTC itself is trivial. It takes about an hour. It's just right here, and you know, unplug one and plug in the other type thing. So
and it's cheap. Relatively speaking, well, hundreds, not thousands.
Yeah, the used part, the new part, I think is like $400, $450, but the used price, you can get them for like $150 to $180. But I guess if you plug in the PTC and it doesn't work, obviously, then you have to go after the DC to DC converter. And I guess the thing is, I don't know. If the DC to DC converter, if that same 40 amp fuse runs both the front and the rear, and you would say, well, surely it'd be a fuse for each. Well, it may not be the case, because one guy said that there's 6 elements inside the PTC. Only 2 at any one time turn on, and it rotates. Every few seconds it gets hot, it turns them off, and then it turns the other 2 on, and they get hot and it turns them off. So at any one time, there's only probably only 2 of the elements, but if they all 6 turn on, it's going to blow the fuse. And it's possible that it's just the PTC itself. So at this point, I don't know.
We'll be opening a service ticket.
Yeah, and I guess in my older days, or younger days,
your youth.
Yeah, I probably would have said, hey, you know, I'll risk, I'll spend $180 and whatever and get the PTC in. You know, if it was, you know, this is the thing I always tell people, what I would do to my car if I'm out walking on the side of the road, that's me. But with Marianne, I can't risk that situation.
I'll go out on a limb here and say, if you want to just replace the PTC thing with the swap out and see if that fixes it, I'm good with that. That's not the car going down the road, right? But
no, we're just gonna go and we'll let them fix it. And it's just hopefully it's just a PTC, and probably I don't know what it would be if the part's $400. It'd probably be $800.
Right, with labor and stuff. Yeah.
And well, if it's only an hour, it may not even be that much.
Right.
And the fact that they've got codes here, I don't know if those codes imply
one thing or the other,
that the fuse is blown. I just don't have that level of knowledge and that visibility.
Well, we'll ask that when we open the service ticket.
Right.
And no, yeah, we'll ask that.
Yeah.
Thanks for researching it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't know why. A suggestion back to Tesla would be a customer alert. There's a problem with your heater. Open a service ticket. Because there's no customer alerts. There's just a alert for the service personnel. And I get that maybe you don't want to show this message to a typical user. It's okay for me and Dawn because we're used to worse messages on the job. But yeah, probably a message to the customer that there's a problem with the cabin heater, other than just letting me freeze and try to debug it for an hour, would have been useful.
So Elon, have you ordered my part? You keep telling me it's gonna, car knows this.
Yeah, I mean, the service center should have already contacted me. Would you like to open a service ticket to fix your heater?
Yeah.
This is the repair estimate.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I have an email waiting in there for in our app right now.
I'm sure alarms went off. Oh my God, they put it in service mode. They're not allowed to do that. Right. Well,
we should show them getting out of service mode.
Right, well, without hooking it up to the VPN and stuff, I don't really think there's a lot you can do to hurt anything just by looking at this log. So,
yeah.
So how do you think we get out of it?
You just go back to the main screen. We got to figure out how to close this window.
I'm guessing back here.
Yeah, hit that.
I'm thinking that wrench button.
There's a button.
And then exit service mode.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Well, this is, software reinstall, baby. There's some interesting stuff in here.
You might as well, let's see.
No, we'll be good now.
High voltage.
No.
Okay.
No, go mess in your car. You can invoke it in Jules.
Oh, and tell Adam.
Well, it tells us that on the detailed thing, but yes. Yeah. I wonder what brake burnishing means. Is that how when I ask them if my brakes are okay, they come in here and they press that button and go, yeah, brakes are good?
I guess.
I don't know. All right, exit service mode. Go play.
Hold to exit.
Well, you go play in your own car if you want to play with those buttons. Don't be playing with my car.
No, I got to go find another service contract so I can pay for all this stuff.
Yeah, because she's going to need tires.
Oh God, yes.
It's going to be a $4,000 service visit by the time we tack the tires on.
Oh, we don't have to put the tires on immediately, do we? God, you're killing me.
Show him that you're smiling. I gave him the day off on weight vest. We're taking the day off. Yeah, it's 9:10 and I've got to get out of here for the chiropractor. If I'm lucky, I might have time to make a coffee if Dawn pulls Ruby back out of the garage for me. And we might have to shorten.
It sets her in the sun.
We might have to only go around the track twice. We'll evaluate at the end of the second lap. So I scheduled the service appointment, or more correctly, I requested a service appointment. They said they don't let you pick a time anymore. They say they'll get back to you with 2 hours to schedule. I just said, what's the problem? Cold. Front heater not putting out any heat. 6-seater does have third row heat though. And here's the attached screenshot of the errors, and please order parts. And do you happen to know through these messages if the fuse is involved or not, because fuse involvement makes it a lot more expensive. So we'll see. So what's PTC stand for, by the way? Because when Andy used that and you used it this morning, I just nodded my head. What's it stand for?
I believe it stands for positive temperature coefficient.
Okay.
That means as it gets hot, the temperature goes up. Then that causes it to actually get hotter. And then that causes it, and so forth and so on. And the resistance goes down. A negative temperature coefficient is as it gets hotter, the resistance increases, and that would decrease the heating. But that's probably why they have to switch it all the time, is with those, the one guy described they only turn on 2 of them at any one time, and they constantly are cycling through the 6 elements, PTC elements in there. So that's because if you didn't do that, it just get hotter and hotter, probably to the point it just melts.
You won't be able to see it on the camera, but there's a drone up there, and boy was it booking. I think probably overlooking the church lot again. I'm thinking as part of construction practices now, they fly drones overhead to see what's going on. Either that or this is just somebody else that got it for Christmas. But you know, if they got it for Christmas, I think they'd be waiting until this afternoon when it's warmer, because it's not warm out here right now.
That one drone we saw here a couple weeks ago, that looked like to be a pretty big drone.
Yeah, well this one had to have been too, for it to be up that high, that loud, and moving that fast, I'm thinking.
Yeah, those are commercial drones.
Holy Toledo, Batman! Yeah. This walk is a lot easier with no weight on.
Yeah.
If you wanted to know if the weights were helping, walk a day without the weights, and then you'll see how much more pep is in your step when you're not lugging the extra weight. Well, Tesla beat their 2-hour SLA, service level agreement, turnaround time with their estimate. Woohoo. So $1,700 rounded with tax. And that is in the middle of what Don said, because apparently Raleigh feels they can replace the fuse without having to replace the whole DC to DC converter. Don had explained earlier that some service centers do that and some don't. Maybe some model years, some not. Depends on the service tech or not. I don't know. So I had asked if the fuse was required to be replaced or not, and I did not get a personalized message, but in going in and looking at the cost estimate and then the detailed estimate, because you have to do an extra click to see the details of what parts they've ordered, you know, it was pretty clear that they intended to just replace the fuse. So there's the labor to get to the fuse and replace it. Don says you basically about have to take the DC to DC converter out to replace the fuse and then put it back in. Anyway, Monday, February the 27th, 8:15 a.m. About the earliest Don and I can both get over there on a school morning is 8. So I didn't want to take the 7:45 slot just in case. And hopefully it's a one-day service and they have the parts ready in advance and all is good. Hopefully we don't have to reschedule waiting on parts and all is good. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple, could be a couple of gotchas here, but hopefully not. I think the process where you have to get the estimate and approve it in advance so everybody's in agreement on what's being fixed and how much it's going to cost, the maximum it could cost, because they could come back maybe with Ruby and say, okay, your fuse wasn't bad, we just replaced the heater, have fun, you know, and it come back less. Typically the estimate would be the maximum, which I want them to be up front, have ordered everything they might need to fix my car. So when they get in there, I'm not left waiting with it sitting up there. So that sounds, you know, I want the estimate to be possibly big, know the full thing. So
right, well,
anyway,
does the front and rear, the fact that the rear PTC works, does that share the same circuit as the front? In other words, is it on that same fuse? I don't know. I don't have a wiring diagram.
Yeah, well, we might could research that further maybe, but
yeah.
Don did really good with his research in the limited time he had between the time I told him I had the problem and got back to the house and said, hey, come out, let's invoke service mode. So that's good. So Donnie, we came in at 22:46 at 58 minutes and something today.
That's
that
good.
Was a nice pace we set there.
Yeah, yeah. It was a lot easier without the 20 pounds of weight.
I got out of the house on good time. I've got 9 minutes to spare. We did walk the full walk. We did not cut it a lap short because we were okay not to need to do that. It's 50 out now and pretty gorgeous. I have the rear on heat on 3 and the front on 1 because I can't turn it all the way off, and the car's comfortable and I'm not wearing my coat. I think if we preheat Ruby in the mornings in the back on high until we get in the car and the front on low, we can take the chill off enough that riding Ruby won't be, you know, driving her won't be as uncomfortable as it was today while we had the fan up in the front and didn't have recirculate on the whole time and cold air was blowing on us. I think we can do better tomorrow and make it work. Besides, it's supposed to be pretty mild all week and the garage is pretty warm, and like I said, now that we know how to optimally improve the internal temperature, we'll do that. Teslarati's reporting that NHTSA has received a petition to go back and add a pedestrian alert on every electric vehicle ever produced. I guess that goes back technically to 1997 and could affect up to 9.1 million vehicles. So not all Tesla. My initial response was, well, I'm not allowed to say that on my YouTube channel. And I guess my secondary response was, well, we did put it on Jules and it's not really ended up being something that isn't a bother or a nuisance in any way. But honestly, put one on every car or put them on no cars, because lots of the newer ICE cars are also very quiet. And if it's good for one, it's good for another. And has there ever been a person that was injured because they didn't hear a car coming and they stepped out in front of it and either couldn't see it because they were visually impaired, or didn't hear it because they were hearing impaired or had their iPods in, or they were looking down at their phone, or, I mean, I'm sure people have, a small number of people have been injured. Would I like for people to not get injured? Of course I would. Do I feel like the cost to go back and retrofit all of these vehicles will automatically prevent any future injuries from happening? I don't. All vehicles are no vehicles. Sometimes I just don't understand the thinking on certain things. Like, I just don't understand. I guess my initial knee-jerk reaction is I hope the petition fails. Maybe I could be convinced that it's truly necessary. I'll be open-minded about it. Obviously, if we are compelled to upgrade Ruby, then we'll have to upgrade Ruby. It wouldn't be pretty, though. I mean, it'd have to be, I don't know that it would be pretty. Because they have some stuff, they have some out there now where there's no wiring harness to power it to the car directly, that like Bluetooth it or something. But I suppose to go along with this, they'd have to actually figure out the least expensive, because they would care about my cost, right? Or are they going to make the manufacturer do that? Or the consumer? Or as if we don't have enough things to worry about already. I'll just calm down, stay tuned, and see where it goes. But knee-jerk reaction, not a good one. There was a midnight silver metallic Model 3 in the parking lot with a New Mexico license plate. It's like a light blue color. I don't think I had seen that plate before. I mean, I've seen a New Mexico plate. Of course, I've been to New Mexico, but I don't know, that color, that seemed new. Ruby tried to put the air conditioning on to cool the car down, and I just turned everything off and said, no, I just want my nice, really warm interior right now. I hope Guardian Angel has something cool at this location this week. It's been a little dry here the last few weeks. Not that it really matters, but as I always enjoy looking. Don says I missed the bolt last week. Well, we had seen the bolt here before. Here's a Y, the North Carolina plate, but it's a Hertz car. And there's a bolt. Always feel free to point out if I miss something. I'm doing the best I can to spot and be knowledgeable about what the different EVs look like. And there's another 3. It's an interesting dirt mark on the front, or a scrape of some sort on the front. And no Hertz box, but it has a safety inspection sticker that wouldn't be normal for North Carolina. I suppose I could have parked closer today. Not. Let me take this cart in. This is a Guardian Angel cart. shouldn't be left out in the parking lot. I ended up with a pair of leggings. There was no Legos and no fun Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day stuff. Several things I'm looking for I just didn't see. And you know, Michelle and I keep hoping that somebody will donate some jewelry and there'll be some awesome jewelry when I go in, but that has not been the case for a while now. I'm on my way over to Whole Foods. Ruby is nice and warm, and I am still refusing to turn on the air conditioner, although I might have to reconsider that soon because it is pretty hot in here. Okay, so it's 99 inside the car. Maybe I need some air. They're spreading mulch today. It doesn't look like they're going back up behind where Ruby is. I left her slightly more forward just in case. But laying mulch is not as worrisome an activity as a weed eater. So, oh, there's the electric BMW. Pretty sure. Yep, has a brown leather interior, it looks like. We had seen one time before here, but I think that one was white. I'm on my way to get Johnny. I've got plenty of time. It's 15 minutes until pickup. When I came out, I walked up the parking space aisle where if it had still been there, I would have been able to see the BMW, but it had left the parking lot. So I kind of wanted to see from the backside. I got pretty much everything I needed today. Not a whole lot, 4 bags worth. Pretty afternoon for a drive. Ruby says it's 64 out there now. It's 4 p.m. I've been home, got groceries put away, said hi to Dawn. Johnny started another 3D print. I'm gonna work on my house a little bit. The parts I need to finish the windows aren't coming until tomorrow. So some reason this package coming out of Boise, Idaho, left on February the 1st, got messed up in transit and now isn't coming until tomorrow, and of course that's the one I need. So anyway, I'm gonna work on my building for a bit. It's 6:15 now and I am finishing up. I did some of the topper pieces that I said I was going to hold off on. But mainly what I did was this table with the 2 people, and I guess this is like a camera or overhead projector. That's what it is. See the wall over here where you'd put the projection. They're having a meeting and a little snack. I built this photocopier and also this little table and the plant there. So I don't know, that took more time than you would have thought, but I had good time building it. The copier looks really authentic, very cool looking. And I stuck on the little mini figure legs down here. You can see the feather plumes have been installed now where they're supposed to go as well. So all in all, I'd say I got a good bit done. Johnny's latest 3D print. This is the one he did yesterday. These pieces here are the ones he did today. It's a prototype, so Dawn gave him some screws, but he's just taped this together to give an example of what it's going to look like. These pieces are thinner than what they would actually be. And wow, it's coming out pretty good. That's a couple of days in a row with, you know, a successful 3D print. It's looking good, Johnny. I've dropped Johnny off at Taekwondo, and Dawn is going to go back and get him because I'm going to go home and pan fry some chicken thighs and do a couple other chores around the house. Plus I'm getting Ruby all nice and warm right now. When Johnny comes out of Taekwondo, he likes cold air. So Don can pick him up in Jules, and we'll keep all this warm air inside of Ruby for tomorrow morning. So all the kitties are doing good. I've seen everybody. Thank God Gray was not outside when those dogs came into the yard. I really think these were two different dogs than the dogs the other day. These guys seemed pretty playful. One was very large, like 80 or 90 pound large and black-ish, and had a brown and a blue eye. And the other dog looked like a German Shepherd Border Collie mix and had a brown and a blue eye. But they had coordinating collars, like the same brand collar, but one was red, one was blue. I did not see any tags dangling from the collar. If it was the kind of collar like where the name is embroidered on the collar, I couldn't see it. If they had been, I tried to approach them to see if I could check for identification, because I would have called the owner. And they didn't make me feel that comfortable, so they weren't particularly approachable. They were not mean, but they were not. They didn't. These two dogs did not go up on the front porch, because I found Tux and Marty up there. Panther's home now. Marty and Stripe have both been in the house for a few minutes and are fine. So long story short is the cats are good. I hope those guys got home. I would have helped if I could have, but they weren't letting me help the dogs. So, and thank goodness Gray wasn't out there to get freaked out, and that they didn't go up on my front porch, because that's kind of like sacred territory up there. I'm following one of the Fuquay police officers down to my turn, and this is just another example, although I don't think you can see it really great, of what the lights look like now around town. The always lit between 8 and 6 lights. Yeah, he's turning here because basically the city limits end just past this intersection, and then, as you know, they end halfway between here and the house. I like it that you can see. I agree. I see a lot of police officers around town when I'm out now, and they know where they are, and I like the blue lights. It's very clear that they're always on versus flashing. There's a problem, in my opinion. I think it's nice to know there's a safe presence, I guess. It does not cause me any duress, but